Welcome to the Digital Customer Experience Podcast by Kiosk. My name is Daniel Paul, and I'm thrilled to bring you stories, insights, and expert opinions on the ever-evolving world of digital customer experience. This podcast is brought to you by Kiosk. Kiosk is a leading SaaS company with a versatile B2B platform combining innovative products and services to drive success in sales, marketing, support, and customer engagement for major brands worldwide. Today, I have the privilege of hosting an amazing guest. She's the head of marketing and communications at Volvo Car Denmark. She plays a pivotal role in driving organization's strategic vision. She's the spokesperson for Volvo Cars Denmark and an ambassador within the automotive industry in Denmark. I'm super thrilled to have Rikke Aagaard Petersen on our podcast. Welcome, Rikke.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
We're so happy to have you. Let's start with something on a lighter note. Outside of work, what is Rikke passionate about? Is there something that your co-workers don't know about you? What is that you're so passionate about?
Well, first of all, I think I'm pretty much like an open book. So I bet they know a lot about me. But of course, we all have our little secrets. But my passion points are really around communication, languages. I've lived abroad in many places, studied languages, even worked for some years in an embassy. And, my job was to travel and experience new cultures. And I think that is such a privilege to be able to do that as a job, even get paid for it. It's to me, that's quite amazing. I also happen to be married to a Spaniard. So we are a bilingual family of 3 kids and that all speak Spanish. And then there's me, because you think that should be easy, right? Okay, just learn the Spanish language. And having an ear for languages, it was actually tougher to crack that language for me somehow, but I do understand it, and I enjoy the culture, even if I'm not fluent in Spanish yet. I'm of course there's still hope. So I sort of indulge very much in the Spanish culture. We all love to eat, right? I mean, That's one of the things. I prefer to eat than to cook, though. So I guess I'm like sort of some multicultural crazy person who cares about communication and languages, and I've brought that on to my kids, so that's fun.
Amazing. And I just want to ask one thing, because now you said that you've worked for the embassy, Irish embassy.
Yeah.
So was it hard for you to understand the accent when you first joined? Is there any story that you have, like, oh my God, what's going on?
Yeah, and it's really different who you talk to. Probably so in most languages, but in Irish, it definitely can be very difficult if the person is from, say, the north of Ireland. But what happened to me was I became this little parrot almost. So after some years, I had this Irish accent that people were like, oh my God, I cannot believe, what is that accent? And now I think it has disappeared a little bit, and it's not really Swedish English working at Volvo, but it's some hybrid. I don't know what it really is, but it gets me along. And maybe you can still find a little Irish twang in there once in a while.
Wow. All right. So our viewers are from all over the world. You've just shared the beauty of traveling and your passion for languages. Since you are in Denmark now, what is top 3 things that you would recommend for someone who has never been in Denmark?
Ooh. I mean, I live in Copenhagen, and I'm not born here, but it's natural to say come and visit Copenhagen, because Copenhagen is this metropolitan place where there's a mix of cultures and lots of things happening, but it's still so small. You can come here for a weekend, and you can walk around pretty much, and then you'll see the Royal Palace, and you'll see all the canals, and you can take a boat tour, and then you've pretty much in 2 days you've seen it all. But that's a lot of great food experiences. Going back to now food that I kind of enjoy. I think we all do. When we go on holiday, we like to go and eat something nice. So definitely come to Copenhagen, visit the Royal Palace. We just got a new king, which was kind of, a big thing here. And there's just so much to see. Also, when it comes to design, we are very much known for Scandinavian, Danish design, in particularly when it comes to furniture.
Yeah.
Is one thing that we're known for. So there's a lot of that, design museums, art museums. Definitely, if you're into design, you should come here.
Yeah. And if I'm not wrong, there's like a really big Danish design festival or fair happening every year, which is
Yeah,
famous all over the world, right?
yeah. I'm struggling to remember. It's August, September time?
Yeah. Yeah. And for all of viewers, like if you want to visit Denmark, so you're going to visit the Royal Palace, say hi to the king, and attend all the Danish design festivals.
I
So,
mean, you might meet the king because they are quite sort of, well, now he's a king, but when he was a prince, at least, you might meet them.
wow, that's interesting. It normally doesn't happen, right? In most of the countries, if you're a prince or
No.
king, like you have a huge array of people, guarding you. So that's one of the reasons why, I should visit and others should visit Denmark. So, Ricky, now let's get into the deep part of the automotive industry. So, I've been wondering, like, the industry is changing with the technology evolving. So, let's say, for example, some companies have direct sales models working really well for them. So, what is Volvo Denmark's approach with regards to direct sales?
I mean, we're in a transition, and I think that we're not the only industry that are in a transition, and we're very much aware of our need to be present where our consumers are present. So whether that's offline or online or a mix, we realize that we need to be where they are, and in that regard, we also need to bring our retailers into our transformation in a good way, because they're absolutely crucial to our success. But we need to create this seamless on and offline experience where you will meet the brand and be presented with the brand off and online. And our retailers are very much a crucial element of that transition.
Yeah, so you're saying that with regards to direct sales, you have this transitioning phase where you're working on how you could have this transition. So does it mean that in the future, with the help of retailers, will there be a percentage transition? Let's say now we have the direct sales happening 80 and online 20. Do you foresee a change happening where online is going to be 80 and direct is going to be 20?
Yes, it will. It will change, but it's very much driven by what our consumers expect us to be. We're a premium brand, and you expect, first of all, as I said, this experience to be seamless. But it's absolutely crucial for me to underline how important it is to have a physical presence. Even if you purchase your car online, which is definitely going to happen, you need to have a place where you can satisfy all your other senses. You need to feel and touch and try the car. I
Yeah.
mean, are you going to buy a car without ever sitting in the seat? I don't think so. I think that is not going to happen, and definitely not going to happen to our brand. We're a traditional brand. We're nearly 100 years old, which means that there are certain expectations also when it comes to Volvo, the design of it, but also the how do you say, it's a very, very how do you say, it's I'm struggling with the word right now, but we're known for the high quality of the materials, right? So you need to be able to go and feel and touch it.
Yeah.
And there might be, we're known for our seats also. You wouldn't buy a car and pay extra for the seats if you haven't tested them to see that you're actually sitting very comfortably in these seats. So I think definitely 2 points to get across that are very important, that we need to be where the consumers expect us to be, but we also need to showcase our product to the customer so he and she can touch and feel and try.
Yeah, makes total sense. Just piggybacking on what you said. So you're trying to bring seamless experience online, but you still want to have the presence of people coming to the store to feel the materials, to talk to have a human touch. But how does Volvo aiming to have this seamless shopping experience online? What's the steps that Volvo is taking now? Volvo Denmark.
And I mean, it may seem a bit dramatic to some people. It does, but it really isn't very dramatic because it's a really slow process, right? But so we're of course starting the journey. We already have started the journey. So if you're interested in a Volvo, you can go online and you can
Yep.
pretty much put it to the basket, right? So you can sort of spec it the way you want. You can spec it a number of times. Most people do that. So okay, I actually do not want the white color or whatever it may be. Most people spec the cars several times. You can send that spec to your family. You can share it across, and then when you're satisfied with it, you can actually put it in the shopping basket, and then you ask for an offer. So you actually don't complete the last bit of the transaction before you get to the retailer. That's the current model now,
Yeah.
right? But we're very close to the making the transaction, right? Because that is more or less a simple step in many ways. You complete the transaction, and then the last thing you do is test drive or pick up your car if you've test driven it already.
Yeah.
Which you must assume in this case, if you make a transaction, you've probably tested it, right?
Yeah.
So I don't think it does sound a little bit dramatic, but it actually isn't, because we're kind of far down the line. And then there's also purchasing of like private lease. I think that's something that's really, really popular in Denmark at the moment, because the market is very volatile, or it's perceived as going a bit up and down. Some of our competitors and others are kind of playing around with the prices. And that creates a certain insecurity amongst consumers that, okay, we are maybe not so sure that we trust this price to be what the price is in like 2 months. So we have seen a rise of private lease.
Yep.
As a low risk type of investment in a car. You don't take the risk as a consumer. And those type of transactions will be the next in line. That is what we can handle very, very shortly, directly between us and the consumer.
Wow. You explained it really well.
Thank you.
One thing that I noticed is the role of retailers are changing. It's transforming, than what it used to be in a traditional business practice. How do you think this is important for Volvo, and how is Volvo approaching this whole process?
I mean, now I speak, as you know, primarily on behalf of the Danish market. That's where I'm based. This is what I look after. But there's no secret at all that Volvo Cars were in a transformation. This is so for the whole entire company. But there's one underlying agreement and belief, and this is part of the strategy, that we need our retailers, and they're very important in making us stand out from our competitors also. To be honest, we're in a competitive playing field. We need to be Volvo. And when you're Volvo, you need to move with the times. You have to modernize and offer customers, back to what I said before, and a seamless experience. But we also need to keep our core values, and keep those protected, because they are our values. And this is what people also buy on the basis of, right? And retailers and showcasing the product in a premium way is very much at the core and the center of our business. So our retailers are very, very important. Their role just might shift. And they are well aware of that, by the way. We're very transparent in our communication. So I don't think, I'm trying to not dramatize this, right? You can see.
I understand,
but not dramatic in any way. It's a sign that you're moving with the times, because times change, and we're in an industry that evolves and changes so rapidly that, I don't know any other industry. There probably will be industries, but anyway, where I have worked or been familiar with, this industry is very moving very, very fast.
Yep. And, you finished it with the right note. The industry is moving very, very fast. So I'm going on the same line. I'm going to ask you, Volvo is known for design. Volvo is known for premium products, like right from the feel of the seats to the look of the car to the longevity of the car's, performance, all of that. But as we talk about the future, there are a few products that Volvo has released the last years, like new EV cars. So, how is Volvo Denmark's future focus? What are the strategies you plan to achieve this vision?
Well, it's very, as you just said, we are going fully electric. So we have a global strategy that in 2030, we're only gonna produce fully electric vehicles. And we're 2024 now, so that's pretty soon. But already in Denmark, we see that we're adapting to the strategy much faster than other markets. Well, just apart from Norway, they're kind of ahead of everybody else. But after Norway, we're kind of close in the transformation, because it seems that Danish people are now, okay, next car is going to be electric. So we already sell on the Danish market 50-50 currently. We see that because we were the first car brand in Denmark to say we're stopping all sale of pure combustion engines, so ICE cars, we refer them to, so cars without a plug, right? Already back in 2022, we stopped all of that in Denmark. So This is our sort of contribution to a strategy to accelerate this a little bit, with a market that is very open to driving electric cars. The infrastructure is ready that you need. Otherwise, if you cannot charge your car, you're not going to buy an electric car. That makes sense, right? So we are already so far ahead that we're looking into a year of 2024 where we're surpassing by far the 50-50. And we're looking into around 80-85% of our sale this year of fully electric cars. And that goes then also back to having the right products, right? So that the Danish consumers will pick a Volvo instead of another brand, right? So we just launched the small SUV, the EX30, which is a very, very perfect car for this market. People don't buy the bigger cars. They're much more into smaller cars, don't spend a lot on their cars. So all of a sudden, we opened up to a wider group and new customers, essentially.
And I'm glad that you addressed this point about EX30. I actually worked with this car. One of our dealerships here, we worked with them, Volvo dealer. We worked with them with this EX30. It's an amazing car. So I have, seen myself. It's a really good car. One overall picture that I'm kind of trying to understand, because you are in one of the most developed countries like Denmark, and Norway is leading the way, right? So all of these Nordic countries or developed countries are moving towards electric vehicle. And also the point that the government is supporting for charging stations, free charging stations and so on. How important is the contribution of the country or the locals around where you are for this adoption? It can't just be the car companies, right?
100%. We do see that in Norway, that a decision was made there to support this fully, as far as I know. In Denmark, it's not quite as state supported, but of course, you can do this in many different ways. You can support charging companies, and there's definitely support there. But you can also punish other types of cars and put taxes and fees on them, so that they actually become so much more expensive to buy that it doesn't make sense anymore. And that's what has happened in this country, that you see additional taxes every year on the ICE cars, so the pure combustion engine cars, and also, and this is where it gets tricky for our market also, because they're also adding taxes on the plug-in hybrids. And if you look at a plug-in hybrid, okay, that has actually moved a whole lot faster than anyone had thought, because we thought that was the transition technology into the fully electric cars. But it seems that in this country, that technology has not maybe been as much needed, because people are ready to just make the full jump. And that is because, of course, money talks. So if you can buy a car that, at the same price, and it can do many more things, you'll buy that car, and you have an infrastructure that allows you to charge. So I think this market has very much been playing it in a little bit, maybe a different way. I cannot talk for Norway 100%, but we have definitely tried to punish the combustion cars.
Oh, that's a great
Yeah.
analogy. And when you punish, people try to look for alternatives. Like, when I mean punish, like adding taxes for non-EV vehicles. I'm also trying to understand, like, because people price comes into a factor. It's not just about, like, taxes. People can't pay a huge sum of money at once. So are there any initiatives to have a comparative study? Like, if you own an electric car, you're going to save X amount of dollars or euros. And are there been education going around it for someone? You and I know that the importance of electric car and what it does to the environment, but for people who don't know that and the knowledge about environment, and it comes down to money, what is your own personal opinion that you would say, hey, here's, you can save $10,000 in 2 years? Do you have some small data for us that we could share with our audience?
Yes, I mean, I have lots of data, some in my head, some not in my head, but I definitely know that if you ask people, and we've asked people, not us, but I have access to surveys. So you ask people, how much um, do you actually do yourself in everyday life when it comes to sustainability or, trying to sort of help our environment along? And it's less than 30% who actively make choices in their everyday life that can benefit on a sustainability level, right? So, but they also, if you ask people, they say, okay, nearly 60%, so 58% of everyone asked in this particular study said we expect the companies to act on our behalf when it comes to acting sustainable or
Yeah.
sustainably. Which means it indicates to me, at least, that people find it hard to grasp what they can do themselves when it
Yeah.
comes to something on a bigger scale, right? Because that's kind of out of our control. So we expect brands like Volvo to make sure that they have a sustainable business and sustainable business practices, and that the cars they produce are as sustainable as possibly can be, right?
Yeah.
So in that sense, we as consumers rely on brands to do this work and communicate this work and educate us also along the way, so that we feel the purchase we do is making a difference.
Yeah.
But it's also money. Like, so if you get more for your money, I mean, and you are on the other hand, okay, you're buying an electric car, that when you drive around in the city of Copenhagen, you're not going to put fumes in the cyclist faces, and
Mhm.
they don't get that into their lungs. I mean,
Yeah.
so I think it's a complex reality. It's not one thing over the other. We all want to act in a good way for our environment. We also know that sometimes it's difficult.
Yeah. Yep. All right. So I'm a big fan of Volvo cars. And as you said, it's a 100-year history. And you're transitioning into electric vehicles. And what is the success or the achievement for Volvo Cars Denmark in 2023? And how do you plan to surpass that?
Well, that is a really difficult. It's an easy and a difficult question at the same time, because it's easy for me to highlight all the success stories we had in 23. And it's very much down to our launch here locally of the EX30, which kind of somehow even surprised me, having been in this job for 4 years nearly. I can still get extremely surprised by things. And the EX30 launch surprised me, because back to my point before about opening up to new segments, to new audiences, if you like, new customers. We with the EX30, it was clear that we got new customers to the brand, and of course we love that. We like to welcome new customers to our brand, and they were also customers that were, okay, I've been waiting to buy a Volvo. I love the brand, but it became too expensive, or the cars were too big, and I don't need a huge 7-seater SUV. And now you have a small car, and it fits my size and my purchasing budget and things like that. So we experienced an incredible success with this launch, and the media was describing what a excellent decision it was for Volvo to launch this car, and especially in Denmark, because it just sort of fitted right into, there was a bit of a gap at this moment in time where we happened to be, I would say, the first to launch a car this size with specifications that were good. I mean, it can super fast charge and all these things. You want that. Even if it's a small and cheaper car, you still want it to perform.
Yep.
You want to be able to charge it fast so you can get on with your life. So we happened to just fall into a nice little hole where there was not so many others. So that was our success right along. It'll be difficult, more difficult once more cars come. But it was definitely, we occupied a space that we had, we could occupy it solely. We had it. And that created a sense of, I would almost call it hype, you know. Yeah. Everyone was talking about this car. People were flooding in to purchase it or pre-order it. And that is a success story, because usually we're a brand kept for the few. All of a sudden we became a brand for many more people. And we love that, because we love people and we think, okay, the more, the merrier. So let's see how it ends up. I mean, when you create a hype around something, and I did it personally myself. I mean, this is my job. Yep. So I did that a lot. We convert people, and we don't release figures of any sort whatsoever. But once the cars start to be registered, and this is happening now, you can go and have a look for yourself.
All right. So how do you plan to surpass this? It's a huge success, which you didn't expect.
I think that's going to be difficult, but we still have to prove this this launch, right? Because now we're going to, as I just said, we're going to look into our stats and figures, and everyone can look at them once these cars starts to get registered. So we have super high ambitions for this car. This is a car that will do well, no matter which way you look at it. Whether it will do as well as we hope, I can come back to you on that. We think so, because it's a great little car, but we're launching a new electric car every single year.
All right.
So we'll be launching something new, and I cannot say anything about that, but we can possibly surpass it in many different ways, because I think it's about making sure we stick to our strategy. And this is more than just launching cars. This is, you know, for a brand like Volvo, we launch cars, but we also do so many other things. Yeah. So I think 24 will be a year where we showcase that we're a company with a purpose. Yep. And more, you need to follow me to find out, but you know, I will make sure to scream about our successes. That is for sure.
100%. And I'm already following you. I've been following the work that you do. So that's pretty amazing. And one marketer to another marketer, you know that brand is the promise we make. Customer experience is the promise we keep. So my last question for this podcast, how crucial is the digital customer experience to the success of Volvo Denmark? We all know that Volvo, or most of the companies in general, is in this transition phase. But how much of effort you, as the head of marketing for Denmark, are putting efforts into digital customer experience?
100%. I mean, I cannot probably underline how important that is. I cannot do that enough, because I think our customers is our bread and butter. Without them, we're nothing. And they are... They need to be treated the way they deserve by a brand like ours. And as I said earlier, you know, it's a seamless interaction. We interact with the customer in the showrooms. We interact online. We interact through our social media channels. There's customers and potential customers everywhere, and they need to understand from the get-go, what are we all about? What is Volvo? What is it I'm buying into? And I see that we have a huge role, all of us, and as a company, of course, widely so, but even down to me and everyone in my team, we represent the brand. And I think being marketeers, we understand that, and we all have a role. And of course, that role transitions across through all of our channels. And we meet our customers mainly, I mean, at least the potential customers, we meet them mainly online now.
Yep.
And this is where we need to make a good first impression and a first greeting that is suitable for the brand. And we are very much about creating, you know, a personalized experience and being very down to earth is something that is often attached to the Volvo brand. And this goes back to our heritage of, inventing all these safety things and just being kind of trustworthy as a brand. And I think we really need to work hard at that. We need to keep that reputation. And that goes through everything we do. We need to live our values. And I think that is no matter whether you meet people in person or whether you meet them online. This is what we have to do.
Lovely. And Rikke, with this, we are coming to the end of our podcast. And thank you for representing Volvo Denmark and sharing the 100-year-old tradition and the importance of a brand's value, the quality, and the importance of customer experience and the journey that the customers go through. It was a pleasure to have you in our podcast, and we can't thank enough on how Volvo stays on top of the market to be the brand they are and to inspire other brands and people across. Thank you so much, Rikke.
Thank you for having me.
For our viewers, if you enjoyed this podcast, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. For more in-depth discussions on digital customer experience, drop us a comment below with your thoughts or any questions that you might have for Rikke or our future guests. Until next time, stay curious and keep innovating. This is Daniel Paul from Kiosk.